Hey Chickees! So today I am going to be doing a very long-awaited storytime video for you all. If you guys did not see my timeline of ex-boyfriend storytime, then I'm here to inform you that I was in a relationship that I talked about in that video that I got cheated on. And I said in that video that if you guys wanted me to go more in depth with the story of what happened, then I would in a different story time, and a lot of you guys wanted me to. So finally, here I am. Like a year after this happened, almost 2 years actually, and I'm gonna talk about it for you guys. So welcome to the story time of the time that I got cheated on. If you guys enjoy my story time videos, then make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and stay subscribed to my channel. You know you get updates when I do more story times, and if you are a new subscriber, a new Chickee, I hope that you stick around. But with that being said, I want to hop right into the story time, so let's get started. So like I said, this was basically a year ago. This happened in December of 2014, and we are now in January 2016, so technically it's 2 years later, but I mean December was only last month, so you get the point. So technically I'm just gonna go with a year later. But anyways, what happened is over the summer in 2014, one of my really good friends, are gonna call her Melissa. You guys know that I don't use real names in my story time, so we're gonna call my good friend, we're gonna call her Melissa. So anyways, Melissa is like one of my best friends, and she is best friends with this other guy, and we are going to call this guy Jake because I just talked it over with my You Now broadcast, and we said that we're gonna use the generic name Jake. Okay, so now you have Melissa and Jake. They are best friends. I'm best friends with Melissa, and Melissa introduces me to Jake. So basically, me and Jake started talking or whatever, just like, you know, friend-wise or whatever, and Melissa had a boyfriend. We'll call him Tyler. So basically what happened is I started to talk to Jake a lot. Like, we became really good friends. We would always text, we would always, you know, FaceTime, and we would just like always talk like a lot. Eventually, I started getting feelings for him. He started getting feelings for me, and you know, all that stuff. So we began to have a thing, which if you live in this day and age of relationships in society, then you know having a thing is basically dating but without a label. It's like that stage that you're in prior to the person actually asking you out. So this was in the summertime, so me and Jake decided that we wanted to go out one day, and my friend Melissa was like, hey, why don't you guys double date with me and Tyler, because it just so happened that Jake and Tyler are really good friends too. Me and Melissa are really good friends, Melissa and Jake are really good friends, you know, everything just like matched up. So anyways, me and Jake and Tyler and Melissa started going on double dates. We'd all just like hang out and, you know, like go downtown, and we would just hang out there and all of that type of stuff. So that's just a little bit of backstory before we get into the whole cheating thing and everything like that. So then after that, now this is where the whole story kind of just progresses, and it kind of just adds up to the factor of me thinking that he was going to cheat on me. So basically what happened is, you know, that was in like July, I guess, and then like in August, I was like, you know, like, how come he still hasn't asked me to be his girlfriend? It's like a month later, and I'm a very impatient person. Like, if me and you start talking and you don't ask me out within like 3 weeks, I'm gonna be hella pissed, and I'm gonna start questioning you. Like, I move fast getting into relationships. Like, if I like a person, I want to be with that person immediately, but when I'm in a relationship, I'm not fast, you know. Like, I don't want to, like, you know, I don't want to talk about marriage like right away, or like moving in together and stuff like that, you know, because I'm 16, I don't need to talk about that stuff. But as for getting into the actual relationship, I'm a person that moves fast, and you know, when I'm talking to a guy and he doesn't ask me out right away, I'm just like, oh my god, what the hell is wrong, and I automatically assume the worst. But it's just because I'm a very fast-paced person. So, you know, I still haven't accepted that. So I'm working on it. But yeah. But anyways, this wasn't even like 2 to 3 weeks. This was a month after. And I was like, okay, he's not asking me out. This is weird. And then, you know, it gets to the point where it's like September, and, you know, months go by or whatever, and he still hasn't asked me out. You know, we're freaking in October now, and he still hasn't asked me out. Me and him are still talking. You know, we're still flirting. We're still together. We just don't have the label on it. And, you know, it just like annoyed the crap out of me. Like, well, how come he hasn't asked me out yet? And then eventually, I think it was in November, the beginning of November, he finally asked me out because we went on a double date, you know, with Melissa and Tyler. We went to the movies, and, you know, we saw the movie. What did we see? We saw like Annabelle or a Ouija, whatever the hell that movie was. It was one of those scary movies. And randomly, like mid-movie, he was like, he turned to me and he kind of just asked like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I was like, you know, like it took you freaking long enough. Yes, I want to be your girlfriend. Anyways, back to the story. So he finally asked me out like 4 or 5 months after. And I don't know what I was thinking, waiting 4 or 5 months for him. I should have been sketched out when he didn't ask me out within like a month and a half. But I was just so attached to this kid that I was like, you know, it's okay, I could wait. Like, you know, maybe he's not like sure, but like he should be sure. And like, you know, I don't even know. I was just dumb. I wasn't thinking. I was very into him. You know, when you have a crush on a person, you don't really think about the other things, you know? So it's like, I was just thinking about being with him and that, you know, I wanted to be with him so badly that I wasn't thinking about the time passing by, the fact that it was like 5 months went by and he still didn't ask me out. Anyways, that was the first sketchy thing, is that he took like a hell of a long time to ask me out. And also, like a month before he asked me out, there was a scandal going around his school. And, you know, my cousin goes to school with him. And she told me one day, she was like, oh yeah, like there's like a big rumor going around my school that Jake hooked up with like this girl at some party and stuff like that. You know, I just need to tell you because I don't want you getting into a relationship with him knowing that he hooked up with another girl while you guys are talking and like all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, I don't think it's true, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I asked him and he was just like, no, that's not true. And I was like, okay. She's like, but her like best friend told me that they did. Like my cousin was like trying to protect me in a sense because she knew that this kid was going to end up being a fuckboy in the end. But I was just so attached to him that I just would not listen to what other people said. I was just like, you know, I just want to be with him. I want to believe him. So I was only believing him. And, you know, I should have believed my cousin because, you know, I never found out if it was true or not. But from the way that the story goes, I would assume it's true, so yeah. So basically, back on track, he asks me out, we start dating, everything is fine, and you know, it was just like, the relationship was fine, and then literally maybe like 2 weeks into it, like I don't even think we dated for a month, like 2 weeks into a relationship, it starts to get sketchy. You know, so everything started to get sketchy. You know, like he was like tweeting people and stuff like that, and like not like, I obviously didn't get pissed that he was tweeting people, but like the girls that he was tweeting, he was acting very flirtatious with. He would not add the date that, like, you know, we started dating, like, you know, when you put that in your bio when you start dating a person, he would not add the date in, like he like refused to. And then I don't even know what else. It was just like a mix of things. Like he wouldn't let me look at his phone. He wouldn't post any pictures with me. And then even if like I did tweet him, he'd only favorite it. He wouldn't retweet it. And then he'd retweet every single other girl in his grade. And he would not tweet me back or anything. I could tweet him like this super cute thing, and instead of tweeting me back thanks or anything, he'd text me and be like, thanks for what you put on Twitter. I'm just like, how come you didn't just reply on there? I don't know, maybe I was being psychotic at the time, but honestly, I felt like there was something wrong with that. So everything started to get super sketchy, and then I remember this one night specifically, there was like this big Halloween party going on or whatever, and my cousin wanted me to go with her, you know, because it was her school. She's like, why don't you come with me and everything? She's like, your boyfriend will be there, you know, Melissa will be there, Tyler will be there, like all of them. And I was just like, you know what, sounds great. So I went with her. And then Jake, you know, my boyfriend, he was like, oh, did you like go to the party? Are you there? And I'm just like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, like I'm doing something right now, so like I can't be there like right now, but I'm gonna come later. I'm like, okay. And he's just like, what time do you have to leave? And I was like, oh, like around 10. He's like, oh crap. He's like, that's when I could go. And I was like, oh really? He's like, yeah. And I was like, damn. And like all this stuff, you know, I was like so upset. And I was like, you know what, I guess I won't see him or whatever. I'll have a good time at the party on my own though. And then when he comes, he'll have a good time, and that'll be that. You know, the only thing that did make me happy is that everybody at the party knew that we were dating, because they would come up to me and be like, oh, you're dating Jake, right? And I'm just like, yeah, and blah, 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 and like all that stuff. So that was what made me happy and made me a little bit less sketched out. But at the same time, I was sketched out because like, what were the odds that like, you know, I had to leave at 10 and that was the exact time that he was able to come? It's just like what the hell, dude? So basically, I ended up leaving, and then as soon as I left, he comes to the party. Like, I literally leave this party, and as soon as I'm gone, he comes. So I don't know if he did anything at that party with another girl specifically. I didn't hear of anything. I mean, Hopefully everybody like got it through their head at that party that, you know, we were together, so nobody tried anything on him anyways, and he didn't try anything with other girls. But you know, honestly, because of me losing my trust for him and so that I wouldn't doubt that anything happened there and stuff. So, you know, it was just really, really weird and sketchy. So yeah. Anyways, I was taking this art class at the time in my school. And these two girls I was really good friends with in the class. Let's call one Sam and let's call one, I don't know, Sam and Ashley. Let's call them Sam and Ashley. So basically what happened is I was really good friends with them. I took this art class and, you know, I'm telling them about my situation because, like, you know, by this point I'm like getting very, like, you know, sketched out. I'm like, you know what, he might be cheating on me, I don't know. So I was kind of telling them, like, you know, my background, how I think he's cheating on me, like what's going on, all that type of stuff. And in the end they're like, you know, that's like pretty weird and stuff. They're like, maybe we should like find out if he actually is, you know, like try to figure something out. So I was like, okay, let's do it. How are we gonna do that though? And so we decided what we were gonna do is we were going to have Sam, you know, she didn't have any evidence on her Instagram or anything like that that she went to school with me and that she knows me. So what we were gonna do is have her message my, at the time, boyfriend and, you know, try to like flirt with him and stuff and see what he does. So basically we're in the middle of my art class. She goes on his Instagram, she messaged him. She's like, hey cutie, with like a winky face and stuff like that, you know, just like that, and sends a selfie. And he's just like, hey, what's up? And she was like, not much, you're really cute. And he was like, oh, thanks and stuff. And they were just like really hitting it off. And, you know, my freaking boyfriend is flirting with her. But, you know, I gave her permission to flirt back. I told her to flirt back because I wanted to see what he was going to do. You know, so like the day goes by and the period goes by and she's still texting him. She's sending screenshots. And so I told both Sam and Ashley, since they're both involved in this, to come over to my house after school and we're going to see what goes on. So basically they both get to my house after school and Sam's like, holy crap, Christina, I have news for you. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So basically she said that he gave her his number. I was like, hey, text me instead. So she texts him and they're talking and stuff. And, you know, he starts complimenting her and he's like, oh, like you're so pretty and stuff. And then he's like, oh, you have like such a hot body. And she was like, oh, thanks. And, you know, and he starts like, you know, acting like that. And he's just like, oh, you know, like you have such like a nice body, like do you have any pictures you could send me and stuff like that. And she sends him a picture of her from Halloween in like this cute little like schoolgirl costume that she wore or whatever on Halloween. So she sends him that because it shows off her body. And he's like, oh, add me on Snapchat or something like that. So she adds him on Snapchat and, you know, they're Snapchatting and stuff. And, you know, he like continues through text. He's like, oh, like, do you want to like send pictures or whatever? Will you send pictures to me? And she was like, you know, like what kind of pictures? And he was like, you know, like nude pictures. Like he wanted nudes out of my friend Sam. So she was just like, oh, I don't know, I don't really do that. And he's like, oh, you could trust me, I'm not gonna share him around. You know, I'm not a guy like that. I really respect a woman and like all that stuff. And I'm just sitting here while he's saying all that stuff. Like, you know, if you respect a woman, then why don't you respect your own goddamn girlfriend and not go off and flirt with other girls and ask them for nudes? Thank you very much. You know, so I'm just like here and I was like so upset, but at the same time I was extremely pissed. Like I didn't know what I was more of. Like I guess I was more like upset because, you know, I couldn't believe it. Like this kid that like I waited so long for him to ask me out, I finally got to be with him and got to be like, we finally got to be together, to only find out that he's flirting with another girl. Like that's so messed up. So basically what happened is like 2 days later or whatever, you know, they're still flirting, still texting. I told her to continue with it and stuff like that. She asks him, oh, are you like dating anybody? Or like, are you together with anybody? And he goes, not really, it's kind of complicated. Like, excuse me, you have a girlfriend right here, and nothing was complicated with us. Like, literally, our relationship was perfect. Like, nothing was complicated. He's just a boy. She's like, oh, okay, well, she doesn't have to know about this and stuff, because, like, I told her to say that just to see what he said, and he's like, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay. So that was happening and stuff, and like 2 days later, like I said, you know, still flirting with him, still texting him. And me and him were supposed to meet up after school to go eat at Panera Bread because, you know, we were hungry and stuff and we haven't seen each other in like 2 freaking weeks. So we're like, hey, let's meet at Panera so we could like eat and, you know, talk and all that stuff. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'll meet you there at like 6 and everything. And I was like, all right, sounds great. And then what happened is I told Sam to try and make plans with him for that day to see what happens and everything. And so basically she goes, man, I'm so hungry, I could really go for some pizza. And then he's just like, oh, like, do you want to hang out today? We could go get pizza, we can hang out at my house and just like watch movies and stuff like that. So like immediately he offers to, you know, go and pick her up, to hang out with her, like all this stuff. She's like, oh yeah, that sounds like great and everything, you know. So she was like flattered, and she was like, okay, like, you know, she was pretending to be flattered, like, oh, that sounds great, you know, I'd love to, and like all this stuff. So then they make plans. He's like, oh yeah, like, I'll come and pick you up around like 6, you know, same time that me and him were supposed to go out on that day to Panera and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. I wonder what he's gonna say to me now that he made plans with you, because clearly if he's inviting you over his house to eat pizza and watch movies, freaking Netflix and chill, we all know where that's going. So then I text him and I'm like, you know, like, I can't wait to see you later and stuff. And he's like, oh, actually, you know, I have track practice until like 5, then I'm gonna have to shower, and then I have homework, you know, I'm gonna be so busy. Do you think we could push it off to like tomorrow or something? And I was just like, oh yeah, you know, it's fine, you know, you do you, you don't have to see me today, you know, tomorrow's fine, I'm free tomorrow too. You know, I was being very, very sympathetic, but the only reason I was being very sympathetic is because I didn't want to like make it seem like all sketchy and stuff. That'd be like, you know, like, why you doing that? Why you gotta push it off, you know, and like be like pissed at him. Instead, I was just being very accepting to him. And he's like, oh, thank you so much and everything. But I knew that the real reason, obviously, that he canceled on me was not because he had track practice until 6 o'clock. It was because he's going out with Sam at 6 o'clock. And then what happened is like 2 hours later, I was like, okay, time to cancel on him, time for me to make the move again. So then she's like, oh, sorry, I can't do it anymore today. I have practice for like whatever sport she was playing at the time, and she didn't actually have practice, you know, she was just canceling on so she like doesn't go out with him and stuff. She's like, you know, I can't, I'm so sorry, can we like postpone for tomorrow, you know, same day that me and him are supposed to go out. So now she's overlapping plans again with me and him and some of that. So now she's overlapping plans again. But him being him, he was like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. He's like, we'll do it tomorrow and like all that stuff. And he's like, I really wish I could have seen you today though. And she's like, oh yeah, you too, blah, 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 blah. So basically now she overlapped plans with me. So now he has plans with both me and her around the same time the next day. But he didn't cancel on me yet, and obviously he was gonna cancel on me. So what happens is literally like an hour or two after she canceled on him, he texts me and he goes, oh, actually my practice got canceled. If you still want to go to Panera, it's still on. I'll meet you there today, you know, all that stuff. So basically he remade the plans for that day because he was hanging out with Sam the next day instead. So me being me, I was like, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. So for that, like, I knew this entire time, obviously, that he's flirting with her, you know, wants to hook up with her, all this stuff, because she's literally sending me screenshots, and I'm like, you know, I was with her like every hour of the day to like look over the text and stuff like that. Like we were together during this, me, Sam, and Ashley. And I know Ashley is kind of just like, you know, she's just like the sidekick, and like right now, like she was kind of just like holding on, like, you know, she was like giving us like ideas and stuff like that, and like, you know, she was with us through this entire thing. But mainly it was Sam that was like, you know, involved in it, and me, because it's my boyfriend, but she was being the one that he was flirting with and stuff like that. Basically, I'm just like, yeah, like, let's meet there later. It sounds great and all this stuff. And so I tell Ashley and Sam, and they're like, all right, that sounds great. So technically, out of all of this, that is what he did. He was flirting, asking for nudes. He wanted to hook up with her. He was going to hook up with her before she canceled on him. So basically, he didn't actually cheat on me by hooking up with her, but, you know, he made plans to hook up with her that were going through at first before she canceled. You know, he was flirting with her, asking for nudes, and all of that stuff combined to me is cheating. Honestly, if you're in a relationship and you're flirting with other people, I consider that cheating, because, you know, like, you should be committed to the one person that you're with. So basically, that is how he cheated on me. It's not like he cheated on me by actually hooking up with her, because, you know, even if he did hook up with her, that'd be a totally different story that would just like add on to like how bad this all is. But, you know, thank God that he didn't, but, you know, at the same time, same consequences, I still wanted my payback. So basically, what me, Sam, and Ashley decided to set up is that Ashley's cousin happened to be in town. We are going to call Ashley's cousin Jess. So let's call Ashley's cousin Jess. And so basically what happened, you know, she was in town and she was involved in all this stuff. You know, we're updating her and everything going on. She would drive us places, you know, while she was here, because she's in college, but she happened to be here and stuff. So basically, we planned this entire thing out where, you know, they would come and pick me up around 5 o'clock. We'd get to Panera Bread around like 5:15 or whatever, and then Ashley and Jess were gonna sit down at like a table kind of like, you know, like diagonal from where me and what's it called, Jake were going to sit, and then Sam was gonna go in the bathroom and hide out. You know, so we had like this big thing planned. It was like a big thing. So, you know, that day actually, fun fact, I filmed an Ask Chickee on that day that did go up. It was the only Ask Chickee that I did that was an Ask Chickee and a get ready with me in one. And I said I was getting ready to like go out somewhere. Yeah, that was the day that I was getting ready to go out to Panera to expose his ass. What happened is actually the day before this, when we first found out about like the whole cheating stuff or whatever, when they came over, I had a sweater and we burned his sweater. And I have a Polaroid picture of it, fun fact. I also have a video of us burning the sweater, but that is the Polaroid. So basically, you know, we burned a sweater. Next day, the whole Panera thing is on task. So I get ready, they come and they pick me up, and we go to Panera. So then Sam goes into the bathroom at Panera Bread, and then Ashley and Jess have my camera with them. You know, they put it under, what's it called, under like a, what's it called, they put it under a jacket on a table, kind of like disguise it and stuff. And you know, he doesn't know what Jess looks like, obviously, because it's Ashley's cousin, and he doesn't know what Ashley looks like, even though she is one of my good friends. I didn't really like talk about her too much or like showed pictures of her to like him and everything, so he didn't know what she looked like, and I'm pretty sure he didn't know that we were friends anyways. So the fact that she would be in Panera watching over all of this, I don't think would be a big deal. He wasn't gonna get sketched out by it or anything. So yeah, so basically what happens is we get there early or whatever. I sit down at a table, and it was a table for two, obviously, in Panera, and I wait for him to walk in. So finally he walks in and he sits down, and I'm talking to him and stuff, and I was like, oh, you know, when he walked in, I'm like, could I borrow your phone? You know, I really need to make a call. Mine's about to die and everything. It's an important call. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So he gives me his phone, and instead I put in, what's it called, I dialed Sam's number instead. I dialed Sam's number instead. I call her, and she pretends to be my mom on the phone, freaking out. She's like, oh my god, like, I need to talk to you right now. Like, are you around anybody? Like, pretending like it was like a big thing and stuff, and that it was my mom. And I was like, hold on a second. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I get his phone from him, and I walk into the bathroom. Like, I run into the bathroom, and then I hang up. And so Sam is in there waiting, and now it's me, her, and we have his phone. His phone was unlocked, so I go onto his camera roll, and he had nudes of so many girls. I can't even. He had so many nudes of girls from his school, you know, screenshots from Snapchat, all this stuff. I was like, oh my god, I'm literally disgusted right now. So me being a good person and helping all these girls out that, you know, ever got played by him, I went in his camera roll and I deleted every single nude picture that he ever had of any girl, ever. And I made sure to go to the deleted folder as well and delete them. And I had the passcode to his photo vault, so I deleted them out of there as well. I also went into his phone. I went into my contact, and I changed my contact name back to just Christina instead of Christina with a bunch of emojis and hearts and stuff like that, because obviously this was the end. And then finally, after doing all of that, I give the phone to Sam and I go, time to freaking shine. Basically what happened is me waiting in the bathroom. You know, I was near the bathroom and I was listening. Sam walks out the bathroom, walks to the table that he is sitting at, and gives the phone back to him, and it's just like, I don't get how you could be so low, how you could do that to a girl like Christina and like everything. And he looks at Sam, and this kid has the guts to say, who are you? And I'm like, what the hell? And the second he said that and I heard it, I walked out of the bathroom, I walked around to the table, and I go, this is Sam. She's one of my best friends and she goes to my school. I heard about you asking her for nude pictures and to hook up and all of that stuff, and you know, I really don't approve of that, sweetheart, like all that stuff. And he's like, and he's just like so shocked that, like, you know, I was with her and everything, and that I had like my arm around her. Like, this girl is my best friend right now. And so he's trying to protect his little ass, and he's like, oh, well, like, you know, I realized that that was wrong, so I stopped talking to her. Meanwhile, he was literally texting her while he was on his way to Panera. You know, like, hello. I was like, you know, that's such BS, because, like, you know, he's texting this girl like all day, all night. Even when we were on our way to Panera, he's texting her and she's showing me all the texts, and it's just like so dumb, and they're just like going back and forth flirting. And I was like, you know, like, I know that's bullshit. You can't bullshit a bullshit artist, sweetheart. So then I was like, you know what, like, you were asking her for nudes to hook up and all that stuff, and you know that obviously I don't with that. And then he was just like, I'm sorry, he's like, could I talk to you? And I didn't hear him at first. I was like, what? He's like, because he was talking really, he's like, could I talk to you and stuff like that? And I was like, what? And he's like, could I talk to you? And I was like, no. And then I threw an envelope at his face, and then me and Sam walked out of Panera Bread arm in arm. Or arm in arm, not arm and arm. Arm in arm, my bad. Basically, the envelope that I threw at him was all the Polaroid pictures we ever took together, because you know I have my Polaroid camera. I like taking Polaroids. So all the ones that we ever took together, you know, the ones of us kissing, all the cute stuff like that, I threw them at his face in the envelope. And also in the envelope had printed out screenshots of him and Sam's conversation of when he was asking her for nude pictures, when he was asking her, you know, to like hook up and like all of this stuff. Then basically after Ashley and Jess saw that me and Sam walked out arm in arm, you know, Jake is just sitting there looking at the Polaroids and looking at the envelope like, what just happened, you know, like really upset. And then freaking Jess picks up the camera, shows it to him like completely, and goes, sucks to suck, doesn't it? And he just goes, yeah. And then they get their stuff and they walk out of Panera Bread, and we get in Jess's car, and we did not leave Panera Bread yet. You want to know why? You want to know what we did? It is pretty funny, let me tell you. We walked out, we chilled in the car for a little bit, you know, looked over the footage, and it is freaking hilarious. And I still have the footage, but me being kind of a nice person, not really, but kind of a nice person, I decided to not show it in this video. But yeah, the footage absolutely is hilarious. I watch it sometimes for entertainment, and it's just like, wow, I can't believe I actually did that. Like, I felt like such a savage on that day. But what we did is, you know, we waited in the car a little bit, and then I look outside of Panera Bread, and he is sitting outside of Panera Bread in freaking December, crying his little boy eyes out. So basically, I get out of the car, I walk up to him, and I was like, you know, like, I'll talk to you now and stuff like that. Like, you know, I want to make this brief and quick, but I will talk to you now. So, you know, I'm talking to him and whatever, and I'm like, you know, like, it's your fault. Like, obviously, this is not okay. You should know better, and like all this stuff. And I'm just like roasting him. Like, I'm not having no sympathy for him. I'm just like roasting the out of him, because like that is not okay, and I don't with people like that. He's just like, oh, does this mean that we're done? I was like, are you kidding me? Does it mean that we're done? Of course we're done. You freaking cheated on me. I see another girl for nudes and a hookup. Are you kidding me? You think I'm gonna stay with you after that? And after I went through all this trouble at Panera, after I went through all this setup, you think I'm gonna stay with you? Absolutely not. So then after that, I was like, all right, whatever, I'm leaving. So I get back in the car, and no, story's not finished yet, not finished. So I get in the car, and what do we decide to do? We blast the song I Don't With You by Big Sean. And we circled Panera Bread 5 times in the car while literally hanging out the windows, singing it at the top of our lungs, looking at this kid crying on the pavement. And then wait, that's not all. That's not all. Just wait, bonus offer, that's not all. Basically, like a month after that, now we're in January of 2015, I started talking to this kid, and you know, me and him started dating. We dated only for like a couple days, but you know, we started talking or whatever, we started dating, and I get a Snapchat from this kid, from Jake. I get a Snapchat from him. I have not talked to him since the day that I left Panera, and I get a Snapchat from him, and he goes, LMFAO, you downgraded. And I think he was with the girl that like he what's it called, that was like liked him at the time and stuff, because there was this one girl that always used to get involved in our relationship. I'm not gonna name names once again, but it was just this girl that always get involved, and like, you know, she just bugged the hell out of me and stuff. And he was with her at Friendly's, and she was like Snapchatting me too, just like selfies and stuff. And then he Snapchats me a picture of him sticking out the middle finger. I was like, LOL, you downgraded. And number one, let me tell you, this kid that I was talking to was hot as frick. And yeah, he was much more attractive than this kid would ever be. So technically it wasn't a downgrade. And plus, obviously this kid doesn't cheat and he's a total sweetheart. Not a downgrade at all. So I Snapchat him back and I go, well, at least he's not a cheater. And I'm pretty sure that the girl he was with saw that, because I did not receive a single Snapchat back from them after that. In fact, like 2 hours after that, I got a text message from him. And he texts me, he's like, I'm sorry about like, you know, Snapchatting you that and everything. And I was like, you know what, it's okay. Just don't like have my name, don't have my name come out of your mouth again. Otherwise, if you do, then we're gonna have some issues. So that was the story of that. So ever since that moment, that is what happened. And that's my story about the time that I got cheated on. Honestly, if he sees this video, he's probably gonna be like V pissed, because be like, wow, I thought we were mutual and now she goes off and makes a video about it. Wow, like what a freaking I'm gonna be like, guess what? I do not care. So that is it for this story time though, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And you know, if you ever had any similar experience to this with a guy where he was being a fuckboy, or you know, he cheated on you, then let me know in the comments below. But we are going to go to the end card now, and we're gonna talk about some cool things there, so let's do that. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up and stay subscribed to my channel. And also, if you're not following me on my social media at BeautyChickee on Twitter and Instagram, then I suggest that you go and do that. Also, if you've not checked out my latest video, it is linked right below me. And next to that, if you guys did not know, my merchandise line is out now. So if you guys want to buy any BeautyChickee shirts, hats, sweaters, all that type of stuff, then make sure to click the annotation on the screen or go to the link below, as well as all the information that is on the screen is in the link below. Is in the link below. Is in the description in links below. That's what I meant. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you in my next video. So with that being said, ciao, ciao, chickies.